This offseason just keeps getting crazier. We got Jaylen Brown going to the 76ers for Paul George and 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. Fans were saying that we were trading Podcast P for Streamer Brown. And also, Brad Stevens, is he the new Nico Harrison? Because this could end really badly for the Celtics. You need to consider that the Celtics were trading Jaylen Brown to a contending team in the same Eastern Conference. That is not ideal. Jaylen Brown is also a Finals MVP, NBA champion, and led the Celtics to a great playoff run where people thought they would be tanking after Tatum's Achilles injury and the loss of other star players. Jaylen Brown is only 29 years old, and he's got so much more years ahead of him around guys like Tyrese, Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Joel Embiid. That team is looking sweet. Like, if you consider the facts, those first-round, second-round draft picks, they won't even matter to the Celtics if the 76ers can perform. On paper, this 76ers team looks so nice. If everyone's healthy and the egos don't clash, they could easily make it to the finals. Brad Stevens is probably hoping that the 76ers implode with Jaylen Brown's behavior on the Twitch streaming. You know, that could spread to the other guys, and then they play poorly. Joel Embiid might also get injured, so we'll have to see in a few years' time if those picks, will they benefit the Celtics. The upside for the 76ers is huge. You got Tyrese Maxey, clearly the leader of the team, posting up crazy All-NBA numbers. Joel Embiid starting to get more healthy. VJ Edgecombe's development is going crazy. He averaged 19 points through the last playoff series, and the 76ers, they did not want to let him go because the Celtics initially proposed him in the trade. The thing is, Jaylen Brown was not demanding that much trade attention throughout the league. Don't you think it's a bit weird that the Celtics had to deal him out? I wonder what Jaylen Brown did to the team. I guess the only concern for the 76ers is Jaylen Brown. Is he going to accept that he could be the number 2, number 3 option on the team? Or will he take over the league? Got that chip on his shoulder because the Celtics got him away. I guess something the 76ers might have to be careful about is Jaylen Brown's attitude and if he can fit in with the other guys. Based on his Twitch streams, he thinks he's the best player in the world. Jaylen Brown has been leading his team in points, assists, rebounds, and a whole lot of other categories and finished 6th in the MVP voting. So he really be playing well like that. Now let's discuss, why did the Celtics decide to make this trade? Well, one reason for sure, Jaylen Brown's contract. The man secured the bag. He's going to be paid 71 mil in the last 2 years of his contract. That's insane, because if you have that alongside Jayson Tatum, those two guys' contracts could eat up 70% of the salary cap in the last few years, and that could ruin the team. How can you make a contending team if there's no one to pay? New ownership as well. They're definitely pushing Brad Stevens to save some money. The NBA's new apron rules, if I'm correct, there's strict salary thresholds above the luxury tax, and if you spend too much, it's going to restrict free agency, trade, and draft capabilities. The league nowadays is getting more and more analytically driven, so Jaylen Brown, his stats say that he makes the team play worse. If you actually look at the last 10 years of Jaylen Brown being on the Celtics, the team actually has a better record when he doesn't play versus when he does. There are some deeper level statistics I'll go through at the end, but Jaylen Brown, essentially when he's on the court, he makes the teammates worse at scoring, worse at everything, even compared to someone like Payton Pritchard. When Jaylen Brown isn't playing, his stats go off the charts. So they're trying to say that Derrick White, Payton Pritchard, and the other guys, they'll play much better with Jaylen Brown off the court. I do understand how Jaylen Brown negatively impacts the team in these sort of aspects, but maybe it's slightly exaggerated. For example, his negative plus minus across the whole career, there are other factors that contribute to that as well, such as the other teammates on the court with him at the same time. His shooting efficiency is not the greatest, but it's good enough to make him a multi-time all-star. I guess the playstyle, he does a lot of heavy isolations, and when he passes, there's a lot of turnovers. Not only that, he drives in using his off-arm, one of the top players in the league of offensive fouls. Not only that, it's the mind. If you watch his Twitch streams recently, you see him criticizing everybody, refs, other players, his own teammates at times, the Celtics organization. There's a lot of things that he talks about, and you can kind of understand deep down the man has an ego and clashes potentially with Jayson Tatum. So the Celtics said, we're going to build around Tatum and get you up and out of there. But I do got to agree with what Jaylen Brown said about the statistics and analytics in the league. It doesn't paint the whole picture. Jaylen Brown, you got to watch his credentials. The stats may say one thing, but the evidence is there. Jaylen Brown is an NBA champion, Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, 5-time NBA All-Star, 2-time All-NBA second team, NBA All-Rookie second team, 3rd overall pick. Career averages 20 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 2.9 assists. And this year, he averaged a career high 28.7 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 5.1 assists per game. Come on now. All right, so let's just consider the fact that maybe he's too expensive and the ego, it doesn't fit well with the team. What are the Celtics going to do instead? With that extra salary cap, they got Mitchell Robinson, signed him for a deal, and they're trying to acquire other assets. But to be honest, I do not expect that the other guys to step up in his absence. Payton, Pritchard, Derrick White, they're good players, but I don't think they can elevate the Celtics to a championship level team. Jayson Tatum is also coming back from an Achilles tear. Do you think he can play like his elite level and elevate himself without having to compete with Jaylen Brown? I do not know about that. We got to be real here. Paul George himself is 36 years old. This is not the prime PG that we're used to seeing. He's also on the decline. I just cannot believe how much value he could get for trades throughout his whole career. Remember, he was involved in that SGA trade. So far, Paul George has been traded for SGA, Jaylen Brown, Sabonis, Oladipo, Gallinari, and 7 first-round picks, 4 first-round pick swaps. This man has finessed the league. I guess some benefits for the Celtics is that he did show some progress after he got suspended for suspicious substances, was playing well in the playoffs, got some great shot opportunities, good three-point shooter, better than Jaylen Brown, good defender historically. I don't know about now since he's getting older, but if you compare him to Jaylen Brown wins every day of the night. I guess maybe Paul George, he's willing to accept a role player type role, fits better with Jayson Tatum. Also, his contract is slightly better, but not ideal. Paul George is going to get paid $50 million towards the end of his contract, but he does have 1 year less than Jaylen Brown. So that's another plus for the Celtics. They can rebuild earlier from there. And you never know, maybe the Celtics could flip those picks for some great players, because historically, the Celtics organization has been playing super well and making great decisions upstairs. But I don't know about this one. Brad Stevens, are you the new Nico Harrison? Let's quickly run through what these analytics were that said Jaylen Brown is bad. Okay, 7th highest usage of all time this season. True shooting percentage. Some people say that him shooting 57.5% was bad because he's in the 49th percentile, which means he's jacking up a lot of shots and not making them. Also, he's an above average shot creator, but the other stats, this finishing, that's not looking ideal. And then you have all of these other stats like defensive playmaking. You see the lineups. When Jaylen Brown is off the court, they play better. It gets into a lot of details. I'll leave this in the description down below. You can go in and have a look. And they're also comparing Paul George's stats and saying that maybe Paul George on the Celtics could actually work, and team philosophy. And so that's a quick summary of that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to give a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And let me know, did the Celtics make a huge mistake?